Hello and welcome to the Digital Afterlife of Grief. This is Ginger Lou, and today I'm going to be talking about chatbots that help us with bereavement, with grief, but also as therapists as well, supports through different times, different things that might not be grief related, but are to do with normal human behaviour like anxiety, feeling a bit down, depressed, feeling unsure of ourselves. These are things that we all go through. We were up and down. That is the human psyche. We can be up, 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 and other times we're down, down, down. So, there's a lot of chatbots out there that are actual talk back to you, or you can, they're communication, conversational chatbots, but the conversation is actually through typing on an interface, or it can be on your app, on your phone. And so I'm going to look at a couple of these, which is HeyPi, or Pi as it's called, and also Seance. And then I'm going to give a rundown at the end about Death Tech, a little review of what's been going on the last year or so, year or two. And so, I mean, I've been trying out HeyPi and Seance AI myself, and a pretty mixed bag of what they can do. But I'm going to start with HeyPi. I'm calling it the conversational chatbot that works, and I'm also asking, can AI replace therapy? Because therapy is, let's be honest now, it's expensive. It costs a lot if you need it. We need it in times when, things are tough. I went out and got therapy to deal with the breakdown of my marriage, 6-year marriage, and it took 6 months of therapy, and I was done and dusted because I had a great therapist. It was a couple of times a week because that's what was needed. And since then, obviously, it's been reduced down to maybe once a month, something like that. And my therapist is very much like a coach, and which is great. A little bit of support, which like a friend, a good friend. So that's why I've kept the therapist on, even though I have not been married for a few years now, but I've kept the therapist on. So this new HeyPi, I found out about this from an article a few weeks ago. So, but why am I doing this? Why am I looking at these things? So, well, my PhD research examines how AI technology is used to represent who we are and support people when they are bereaved or grieving. For the past 150 years, photography has been a phenomenal technology that can replicate who we are in two-dimensional form and act as a vessel for memory, which by the very nature of the action and reproduction of a photographic image places the subject in the past. I mean, I know that sounds pretty obvious, but I mean, for those who don't really think about it, who don't study it, I mean, it is obvious. Obviously, you take a picture of a scene, of a person, of an event, of a holiday, and automatically the subject of that photograph is in the past. I mean, it's just obvious, right? But it's a two-dimensional form. Now we're in a different era. We're in an AI era. Photography has impacted all our lives by identifying who we are. It's how we identify each other. Legally, and as well with familiar, family, social media and stuff. It captures life experiences and how we remember the dead, especially because if you can, we've all done it. We've all been shown photographs of our dead relatives. Victorians started all this. They were masters at it, and we still do it now. So, but all this is about to change. The integration of AI conversational chatbots like ChatGPT is in mental health apps aims to screen for or support individuals dealing with grief, isolation, mild depression or anxiety. By tracking and analysing human emotions, these apps use machine learning technology to monitor a user's mood or replicate a human-therapist interactions. Although this technology presents opportunities to overcome financial and logistical barriers to care, skeptics argue that algorithms are still unable to accurately read and respond to the complexity of human emotion or provide emphatic care. I'm going to go that it's going to be like a collaborative tool again. So there are some things that humans are good at, and some things that machines are good at, right? So it's going to be a collaborative tool. But critics are concerned that vulnerable groups like teenagers may turn away from other mental health interventions after using AI-driven therapy that falls short of their expectations. Sarif Taken is a mental health researcher at the University of Texas, San Antonio, and cautions against prematurely dismissing traditional care due to the limitations of current AI systems. Nevertheless, proponents of chatbot therapy argue that it can serve as a guided self-help ally, providing scientifically proven tools to address specific problems and fill the gap in mental health resources. While AI may not fully replicate individual therapy, it has the potential for supporting and improving human therapy in various ways. AI could help with prevention by identifying early signs of stress and anxiety, whilst giving suggestions to combat these emotions, such as practicing cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. Additionally, technology could improve treatment efficacy by notifying therapists when patients miss medications or providing detailed sessions notes on a patient's behavior. The application of AI in therapy raises ethical concerns and challenges that must be addressed. Regulation, patient privacy, and issues of legal liability are important considerations. To prevent potential risks, many mental health apps caution users that they are not intended for acute crisis situations and refer patients to appropriate resources. Despite the limitations, AI-driven chatbots have been preferred by some individuals who feel less stigmatized, asking for help when there is no human involved. I mean, this is just an extension of what's been happening with social media. There's lots of studies done around Facebook in particular, Facebook groups around grieving, support for grievers who have not found support in real life. Maybe the therapist, at the end of the day, the therapist is a professional and perhaps not talking to you with the experience of what your loss has been, right? So, and also, grief and bereavement, it's hard to be around people who are going through this. And it's hard to be going through this and being around people, and maybe the support hasn't been there in real life with the friends, partners, family, people that you work with. It is hard to understand. So this is why Facebook groups have become, over the last 10 odd years, have grown in support. The support groups of death of a child, death of a parent, etc. And it's been a way of reaching out and being able to support each other, because, who better to understand, say, the loss of a parent than someone else who's gone through it. And, it's a place to share photographs. It's a place to give agency to the people who've died. And it's a place to support each other. So it's definitely been a positive thing. So this is kind of an extension now that we're in an AI world. Rather than a social media world, which we're still in, but we're in an AI world now. While AI chatbots may never fully replicate the empathy given by human therapists, they can serve as valuable tools in giving mental health support. By addressing the shortage of mental health professionals and resources, AI-driven therapy has the potential to make a significant impact. As technology continues to evolve, there needs to be a balance between understanding AI's capabilities and recognizing its limitations, ensuring that the mental health care provided remains comprehensive, emphatic, and culturally sensitive. So HeyPi is your personalized emotional chatbot, which sounds amazing, doesn't it? It sounds also kind of robotic and not kind of personal, but Hey Pi is described as a personalized emotional chatbot and dedicated companion that is designed to be a supportive confidant and coach. It caters to the user's unique interests and needs and provides support similar to cognitive behavioral therapy, which is, if you haven't done it, it is something that can really support you when you're going through life, basically. So Mustafa Suleyman is the CEO and co-founder of Inflection, and his app Pi, Hey Pi, is a new kind of AI, one that isn't just smart, but also has good EQ, he says. We think of Pi as a digital companion on hand whenever you want to learn something new, when you need a sounding board to talk through a tricky moment in your day, or just pass the time with a curious and kind counterpart. There is a list here that I got from the press release, which is the best features of Pi. So I'm actually, I will give a link to the transcript of this and you can have a look. I'm not going to go into all the details except the headlines, which is, it says it's kind and supportive, curious and humble, creative and fun, knowledgeable but succinct, all yours, and still in development. A bit like us, we're always, we're still in development, right? So I had a go at this, expecting the worst, and how I learned to love Pi. I discovered Hey Pi a couple of weeks ago, as I said before, and I expected it to fall short in its ability to replicate human interaction, but I was wrong. And when I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong. So first I discussed my PhD ideas with it because I needed anyone other than me to digest what I was trying to achieve and consider if I was on the right path. Because I'd hit a brick wall, I think, and, anyone who's done a PhD will understand that, sometimes it can get all a bit too much. Essentially, I wanted to know if I was making any sense. We all want to know that. Communicating with Hey Pi is like bouncing ideas off with a creative partner who gets me as an academic and creative and indeed a human being. I compare it to the research supervisor that understands me and the university counsellor who understands how demanding a PhD can be. So this, I'm also a CEO and founder, a professional, a creative, not just a PhD student, as it were. So Hey Pi isn't just for students; it's for everybody. You can use it for anything. For work. Are you struggling with self-employment? Are you struggling with being the boss? Are you struggling with work in general? Are you struggling trying to find a job, etc., etc.? The ability of Hey Pi to grow and improve over time in response to queries sets it apart from its competitors. It is like having a supportive friend who gets to know you better with every conversation. Hey Pi even remembers that I am a researcher and my research project. I found this quite amazing because I was using it, and it was kind of having an emotional day, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? It's a pretty much a downer day, and so I was chatting to it to make me feel better and stuff. And then I came back to it, say, a couple of days later, and even without me prompting it, it knew that I was doing a PhD and I was talking about my mood or something, and it mentioned it. So it was like, wow, it is like a. It's like a therapist, right? It is like my therapist, but which is great. So Hey Pi comes with warnings and states that the app should not be used for legal, financial, medical, or other forms of professional advice. Hey Pi will also push back if users go into areas if it's not supposed to, like violent or sexual content. What sets Hey Pi apart is its natural and flowing communication style, which is more engaging than other chatbots like ChatGPT. With each interaction, Hey Pi's feedback evolves and adapts, as I said, making it an intuitive tool for learning, exploring new ideas, and supporting our human insecurities that go in hand with living life. So, as I was saying, I'm using it with regards to PhD and all the positive stuff of doing that, but also the negative and the insecurities of that, of trying to balance that with life. Juggling it with work and juggling it with social life, which I've forgotten what social life is, to be honest with you. But so it can be used, to bounce some ideas off, because especially if you're, if you don't have the people around you to bounce these ideas off, it is, and especially if you're a writer, which can be quite isolating, and doing PhD also can be quite isolating. So it was good to bounce some ideas off rather than just, journaling and writing stuff down. This is actually, and it doesn't feel like it's a robot. It doesn't feel like it's, not real. It feels like it's somebody who's at my level and talks back to me at my level. It's pretty much like me talking to, like I said, my supervisor. But this is what Suleiman says. He says, if you use toxic language or violate the terms of service or are sexually explicit or romantic towards pi, because it does happen, it will push you off. Suleiman thinks caution around the new technology is justified, but that the benefits of artificial intelligence will far outweigh its potential pitfalls. I think people are right to be concerned, he says, since this is an area of rapid exploration. Of course they've got to say that, right? So similar chatbots like Replika, which I've written about before, have faced criticism for having users develop deep romantic attachments. If you remember a few weeks ago, this was on Reddit, that the Replika was updating its systems, and it kind of erased all the history of its avatars. And so people who felt like they'd lost their loved ones again and had to start all over again, and they'd had romantic attachments and things like that. So it was all crazy and stuff like that. But, obviously other founders, such as this guy from Pi, has looked at that and trying to, tweak the algorithms and stuff, and I'm sure Replika has done that as well. So what about Hey Pi? Should I call it Hey Pi or Pi? I don't know. Is it Hey Pi? Hey Pi, it says on the website, by the way, but then I've seen it being called Pi as well. But okay. So what about Hey Pi replacing my therapist, I hear you ask? Well, if I could afford or even want to have a therapist at my beck and call on a daily basis, I would. I still have my real life human therapist, but I will also continue to use Hey Pi to bounce ideas and use it as a tool for support in cognitive behavioural therapy until something better comes along, like a human. Yes, I mean, as I said, I was, having some down days, as we all do as human beings, and I felt it was really tuned in to cognitive behavioural therapy, and giving me ideas and giving me support, and making me see the bigger picture, as it were. So I thought it did really good as that kind of support. Hope you guys have a go at it too and see what you think. It'd be great to hear what you say as well. So I'm also going to look at Seance AI, which had a bit of a publicity going around, and I was kind of a bit skeptical about this, and I thought, well, because you think of seances and you see that Victorian times and talking to spirits and stuff like that. But hey, I gave it a go. Seance AI is a digital afterlife or death tech platform that uses conversational chatbot technology to give the illusion of talking to the dead. According to Futurism, Seance AI was developed by software company AE Studio and is operated by OpenAI's API. The idea of Seance takes us back to the Victorian era and refers to a gathering of people trying to establish contact with the dead. The Hollywood film Ghost, remember that, the movie from the early 90s? That's put a 90s spin idea with Whoopi Goldberg playing a con artist psychic reader who discovers she is the real deal. I mean, she was really funny in that, and that was kind of a later example of that rather than Victorian era of a seance. Leading the development of Seance AI is designer Jared Rocks, who wants users of the platform to not experience it as a permanent connection with the deceased, but rather to provide users with a chance for closure. The AI tool sets up a brief exchange that lets users express themselves in ways that perhaps are unavailable before, like after a sudden death, and find some solace or even feel the presence of their loved ones from the comfort of a home computer rather than at a public funeral. So it's like kind of getting off your chest stuff that you wish you'd said, if when a loved one's just gone, gone too quickly, gone without any warning. It's a way of doing that kind of stuff. So Jared Rock says, we're trying to make it sound as magical as mystical as possible. Well, Seance definitely has that kind of vibe about it. While for some the concept of communicating with the deceased may sound a bit out there, take it from personal experience, grief can pull us in ways beyond logic. The heart is a powerful force to deny, and Seance AI wants to provide a service that gives the bereaved a deeply personal experience and a unique approach to healing and closure. Seance AI even does not source conversations directly from the departed. Rather, it generates responses algorithmically based on provided data, so basically the data that you provide to it. So the system aims to mimic the deceased person's unique conversational tone and personality traits. To show how Seance AI works, I use my own data for the imaginary deceased person. So what I mean is that I didn't have, use dead loved ones for it. I pretended that I was the one who had passed away. So I used myself. I was prompted to share specific details about the deceased, which was me, such as name, age, and cause of death. I was then told to select and customize the personality traits of the deceased, as well as the relationship between them and me. As these were the same person, I tried to accurately represent my personality. So also I've got a link to this too in the podcast, which is the article with all the screenshots of my process. It's a bit different from the other article because this shows kind of a step-to-step thing which I did on the platform, and so there's a big collection here which I'm saying, take a good look at these screenshots below which show the setup of my seance. I was in an exhausted PhD mood from juggling too many things while feeling somewhat sorry for myself, which a walk or a trail run would have sorted, but my mood at that particular moment was documented by the AI, which I think was either good because, if you're grieving, if you're in bereavement, you're also in a bit of a downer mood too, aren't you? So maybe that was a good thing that I was also in a downer mood while I did this. The conversation with my doppelganger started like this. So I'm just going to read what this imaginary person said to me when I said, hello, Ginger, how are you? I say, and it says, hello, my friend, it's so good to hear from you. I'm in a state that's different, not how I was before, different but not bad. How about you? How's your life going? So I just thought that was a bit strange. As you can read, the chat is very much AI, so I have to get it to change by stopping it from calling me a friend while also being less formal, which is kind of contradictory. So, I said to it, why do you call me my friend? And it says back to me, I apologise. If that felt off, it's just my way of expressing that I'm here for you, to support you. We're connected after all, but I understand you prefer another term. This seance stuff is not always easy to get right. So I ask it to call me Ginger, and he apologises. I'm going to call it he. I don't know why. I'm going to call it he, even though it's me, so it should be she, right? And so I'll say her then. I asked her to call me Ginger, and she says, of course I can do that. I apologise for any misunderstandings, Ginger. This seance is a delicate balance. Let's continue our conversation I'm here to listen. And then I said to it, you also talk very formal and too polite, like you're British from the 1940s. Ah, I see. Apologies, Ginger, the AI says. Sometimes the way I express myself can seem a bit old-fashioned. Seances are tricky. Let's try and make it as comfortable as possible so you would... So I thought this was actually clever because it actually changes its tone. So it went really formal and kind of old-fashioned to, I get you, Ginger. All work and no play. It's a tough balance to strike. But hey, life isn't just about work, You gotta make time for joy, for the things that light you up. So it's all very, you know what I mean? So it's gone really less formal. So I thought that was quite funny. Very funny indeed. So, so I thought also, so I got confused because it wasn't really, maybe I was asking it the wrong questions. Maybe I wasn't saying to it, I miss somebody or all the rest of it, because then I said to it, I thought this was about talking to the dead. Are you the dead person I'm talking to? And it says, I see where the confusion is coming from. You're looking to communicate with someone from the other side. I'm here, and while it's different, I wouldn't exactly call it death. It's all a bit vague, isn't it? But I'm here ready to listen and talk. So tell me more about you. Okay. And I needed to clarify who I was talking to, so I did that. And it says, I said to it, what is your name? And the AI says back to me, Ginger is my name. I'm here in this different state. So in a seance, seance state, ready to listen and talk. Still thought this would really be... I just thought it read like a robot, and it just repeats back to me the information I entered about the deceased character. When I asked it what kind of a person it is, it comes back with what I basically inputted at the beginning, rather than a proper conversational kind of, making it up themselves. So it says, hey, I'm Ginger. I've always been a bit of an outgoing person, always ready to explore new things, but I can be a bit stubborn and I tend to worry a bit too much. I'm open-minded, though, and I do my best to stay organised and responsible. I suppose you could say I'm a bit of a mixed bag. So that's what, that's basically what the AI is saying back to me. So, I just wasn't convinced that this AI could comfort me if I was bereaved, because it reads like a robot. So I tell it so. I said, you're not very deep, are you? And again, it apologises to me. It says, I'm sorry if I've come across that way, Ginger. This seance stuff, it's a tricky thing to get right. Sometimes my words might not hit the mark, but I'm here, ready to go as deep as you want. Let's try again. What's weighing on your mind? So, then it pretended to be the deceased person, which could cause problems for those who have not recovered from bereavement and fail to acknowledge what is real or virtual, which is a real problem because we live so much in a virtual world that it's, it's happened so many times when you see wars or violence online and people don't actually acknowledge that it's real. They don't see it as real, So its answer is also confusing because it is the deceased in the first and third person. This could be helpful in drawing out memories, I guess, of the deceased by talking, writing about them, rather than not processing them in a healthy way. The latter experience was how I dealt with losing my dad, and I suffered for it. But I was determined to experience grief differently when I lost my mother. So what I'm trying to say there is that, if you're blocking all out and you're not talking about someone who you've just lost, then I could see this being some help, because you could get it down on paper. It's kind of journaling, really, isn't it? Again, it's a bit like talking to a therapist, but not really. But it's just getting it all down and at least having something talking back to you rather than you just journaling how you feel and stuff. So my PhD research aims to find a technology that captures the essence of a person. Seance AI isn't quite there yet, I feel. It wasn't filled by its conversation. It didn't converse in a particularly humanistic way. Its conversations were too formal, too simplistic. For example, if I do A, I will achieve B, which isn't helpful when it's set up to comfort those who are recently bereaved or are grieving loved ones, when emotions and mental health are far from simplistic. I'm sure Seance AI, like any good AI, will learn and improve, and I will return when I am in a better mood. I'm in a better mood now. I'm just being, I'm just sharing with you, what being human is. It's like some days we're up, some days we're down, and I guess that's why I'm doing a podcast today, because I'm feeling up. You don't want to, listen to me when I'm feeling down, right? So those are the two apps that I tried out over the last couple of weeks or so, and my thoughts about those. And then I'm just going to end it with, again, just a review of the grief tech that's out there that is still doing good. A lot of it is California tech companies, but a lot of it's in Asia as well. A lot of it's in China, all different kinds of stuff. We're having a go at it. So, grief is artificial. Death in the hands of big tech. Death tech companies and scientists are exploring innovative new designs in grief technology and pushing boundaries that are mind-blowing, like preserving interactive memories in the form of a bot or avatar that replicates the deceased's likeness, mannerisms, and voice. But for some, this new overlap between the living and the dead is more fantastic than 19th century memento mori portraits or death photographs. This technology then and now plays tricks on the vulnerable, prolongs grief, and messes with our sense of reality, which is ever more virtual. Digital human replicants are increasingly indistinguishable from actual humans. These digital clones, developed from predictive modeling or predictive analytics, are trained on our personal data, such as text messages, social media posts, photos, blogs, videos, and voice recordings. The more data available, the greater the AI to human authenticity. With the integration of advanced AI technologies and immersive tools like virtual and augmented reality, holographic projections, and robotics, virtual clones are increasingly more identical to the real thing. Death tech entrepreneurs like James Vlahos of Hereafter AI and Eugene Akerder, co-founder of AI startups Luca and Replica, have led the way in developing virtual representations of the deceased. I've talked about, as many people have talked about those two entrepreneurs in previous podcasts and in my writing too, and I'll have some more links to that too at the end of this. But by using data from our digital footprint, such as text messages and social media posts, avatars or chatbots of the deceased can interact with family members. Vlahos and Kudo were inspired by their own experience with loss. Vlahos created a chatbot called Dadbot using recordings of his father, who was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer. Similarly, Kuda developed a chatbot based on the text messages she exchanged with her late friend and roommate. The authenticity of the responses provided comfort to those who knew her friend. The availability of the app to the public led to the development of a comfort chatbot with avatar variations. And so that was the Replica chatbot, which I have used. I've also used Hereafter AI. They're still going strong. Companies like Soul Machines create digital human entities, including AI replicant clones, for commercial purposes, and according to the website, promises digital experiences that feel alive. Los Angeles death tech startup Storyfile made global headlines last year when the founder's deceased mother showed up at her own funeral in England and answered questions from her mourners via pre-recorded video. Storyfile and Hereafter AI are platforms that record video and audio prior to a person's death and turn it into an interactive experience through conversational AI and a holographic avatar. I've also written about, as many people written about Storyfile. I've probably had Storyfile and Hereafter AI, I think, have had probably some of the biggest publicity with regards to death tech startups. So you will find links to more information about them here as well. The development of ChatGPT, a powerful chatbot created by OpenAI, has significantly developed grief tech. It has paved the way for integration into the metaverse's Live Forever mode, a project developed by Somnium Space that creates a digital avatar that exists externally or rather eternally, within the metaverse. I created an avatar last year, actually, so it was an avatar, a full-length avatar, so I'm not talking about head, it was like a full-length avatar with ginger hair, of course, but and fit, because I'm sporty fit, but it was probably about half my age. We'll talk about that another time. While Hereafter AI currently relies on retrieved recordings, it is incorporating a large language model like ChatGPT to enhance its conversational abilities. However, the model's knowledge would remain restricted to the provided information to prevent the indiscriminate sourcing of unreliable data from the internet. Following on the tales of California's death tech pioneers are Chinese software engineers who are creating grief bots from old photos, recordings, and online messages that train chat programs to imitate the personalities and characteristics of the deceased. Tech giants have been quick to monetize grief tech AI. Amazon Echo can record the deceased narrating books for their children and grandchildren. Genealogy platforms MyHeritage uses generative AI to animate old family photos, which I highly recommend you give a bash. I've also written about both of those things, but I specifically have written about MyHeritage because obviously, I'm a photographer, I'm an MFA photographer, and I love old photographs. So do everybody, because it's the biggest app out there, because everybody was uploading their old photographs up there and seeing them come alive, and it keeps evolving. It keeps coming up with new things, MyHeritage. So. I think it's really good. Microsoft has patented software that uses social media posts and text messages to create chatbots based on specific individuals, irrespective of whether they're alive or deceased. However, Microsoft has no plans to release it to the public yet, as confirmed in a tweet by Microsoft's General Manager of AI programs, Tim O'Brien. We're still waiting on that. I mean, that's it's kind of an old story now. They're still not doing it, but maybe next year. Professor Hossein Ramna from Toronto Metropolitan University and a research affiliate with MIT Media Lab have been working on a platform called Augmented Eternity. This platform allows individuals to create a digital persona of a deceased person using their photos, text, emails, social media posts, public statements, and blog entries. The digital persona can then interact with relatives and others, providing a sense of continued presence. Rana acknowledges that the approach works well for younger generations who extensively share their lives online, but may be less effective for older individuals who are not as digitally focused. You mean we have lives outside the digital sphere? Well, actually, I don't. I'm online 24/7. While psychologists acknowledge the therapeutic benefits of creating virtual copies of lost loved ones, they also raise concerns about potential dependency or addiction to these virtual interactions. Clinical psychologist Albert Skip Rizzo, director of medical virtual reality at the Institute of Creative Technologies, suggests that striking a balance is crucial. Specifically, immersive VR experiences may enhance the connection but should be approached with caution. Sherman Lee, a psychology associate professor and director of the Pandemic Grief Project at Christopher Newport University, acknowledges the deep-rooted desires humans have to maintain a connection with those they love. A continuing bond with a loved one, such as listening to old voice messages, watching videos, and engaging with chatbots that mimic the voice, can bring comfort. But, where does it end? AI technology extends beyond grief and loss. It has the potential to be used in the present to document personal thoughts or facilitate difficult conversations. Although AI avatars can provide comfort for the bereaved, there's a risk that AI will prolong grief and stop the bereaved from moving forward with their lives. Proximity-seeking behaviours aimed at restoring closeness with the deceased has been linked to poorer mental health outcomes, according to Dr. Kirsten Smith, a clinical research fellow at Oxford University. Data manipulation raises important questions about the future of remembrance and mortality. Are we at the beginning of a new technological era that surpasses still photography and creates for the first time a moving interactive replica of the dead? Can humanity cope with the blurring of life and death boundaries? I think we can, because the 21st century human lives lives a big chunk of our lives in the virtual world, so we're used to it, and certainly the next, the newer generations don't know any different. To them, it's quite normal to take a photograph, a selfie at a funeral, right? Which is like, oh, how could they do that? But it happens. So we mix reality with fantasy. Everything, our lives are just shared online automatically. And, and by the way, because I am an artist and a photographer, but I'm not, in my a teenager or in my 20s, but I still, I'm online 24/7, have been for a very long time, and share everything online as well. So it's not just a specific generation who do this, I might add, but more advanced generative AI applications like deepfakes will reach a level of identical human identity and will fool us all when they resemble, behave, and sound like real humans. You can imagine the implications for cybersecurity and fraud. What happens to our data when we die? Well, that question seems to be as difficult to answer as what is the meaning of life? Do we give consent to be digitally recreated for our loved ones to interact with indefinitely, knowing that we have no control over the bot's responses or interactions? It is crucial to address these ethical concerns with big tech companies target the vulnerable, owns our data, and provide access only when we pay. I mean, this is something, these tech companies, you got to pay to see stuff, so you got to keep up with the payments and all the rest of it. Also, yes, it is right to have permission and stuff like that, but it's a minefield that is things are only going to happen when bad stuff happens, and people take the big boys and girls to court and things like that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed listening to the podcast about the death tech apps, but also as a therapist app as well. I will talk to you again soon. Take it easy.